Hey everybody, this is vandweller, and this is episode 7 of the Real Life Micro SNG Grinder. And today I thought we'd do one more sweat session. You can't really go 8 episodes of a series like this and only do one sweat. So I figure, hey, we'll have 2 under our belt. And then as for episode 8, well, I have no idea what we're going to do. But I'll think of something good. So anyway, I'm just going to pause the video for a minute, and we'll come back and we will start the action. So here we are, John. Hey, John, how's it going?
Hey, good, Keith. How are you?
I'm feeling all right. Well, not that great. Like I'm in this 4x4 office that I have. Like it's this closet that I converted, and there's like no AC in it, and so I'm really, really hot and like sweating, and it's Texas, and I had to buy. I bought because I sweat in here, so I bought like the Sham Wow. You know the commercials with the Sham
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I bought that so I could. I don't know. I just thought it would absorb a lot of sweat, so I bought the Sham Wow. And ultimately, I don't know what's funnier is like you alone in your apartment, or me like sitting in a closet. I mean, people made a lot of hay about like that first episode, like you're alone in your apartment, but dude, I sit in a closet. How weird is that? So how have you been running, sir?
Good.
I mean,
I've been getting a lot more games in. Been playing $5. I mixed in occasionally the $3 last week because I was making a big run for the Lord again, but I didn't get to finish my games, so I finished with like over 1,000 points, but not all my games. So I would have probably made the top, but I just
why don't you just try to make the leaderboard at the $5? You can't
yeah.
like.
I don't. I definitely can. I just haven't been playing that many fives.
Yeah.
But right now, I've been playing just fives, and I started playing 6 turbos. So, and
Oh, the 650s.
yeah, that's what I have loaded here.
Well, that's
Yeah.
good. But you don't like turbos though.
No, not a big fan of turbos. I don't know. I mean I've come a long way since the beginning. That's when I really didn't like the turbos, but I understand more of the ICM pushes and stuff. So it's better now, but it's
Dude,
not.
your HUD, like, it's so huge. Like, it covers everything. There's a couple of chip stacks that are uh, covered by your HUD, which is
I
really
could.
weird.
Well, I took one stat out here. That's why
Oh,
it's as
that's
big
weird.
as it looks. Maybe I
Yeah.
could mess around.
So those of you out there, I decided to do one more sweat session because, like, in the description that I think Krantz wrote or whatever, it said sweat sessions, like, like plural, and we had only done one. So rather than make him take an S out, I figured we'll just make a whole other sweat session. And people like the sweat session, so it's no big deal. So you were kind of moving up, which is good. I mean, when we started, you were at the 2s, and now you're like comfortable playing
Oh
650s,
yeah,
and that's a good progression. I
yeah.
mean, I was kind of hoping like we'd start you out at the 2s, and you'll be playing the hundreds,
No.
8 episodes. But I guess it's not really realistic. Jack of Hearts is at your table. I kind of remember that guy from when I used to subscribe to another training site like 3 years ago. Um, so I think he should be a fairly solid player.
Okay.
'Cause he was a big contributor
Is
in the
he in
forum.
a couple tables? I don't.
Yeah, he's on a couple of your tables. He's in the top.
He
He's in
was
number 2.
he was probably the guy that had all these loaded. There was about 12 turbos loaded. He's probably just multi-tabling 12.
Yeah, he's on 3 of yours actually.
Okay.
Yeah, Jack of Hearts. See, I wonder if my thing will show up. Will my blue arrow show up at these? There.
Yeah. Yep.
I wonder if it'll show up in Camtasia. That's what I don't remember.
Oh, it should. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So, so there it is, dude. This is episode 7. So somehow we've managed to get through like 6 of these already, and hopefully this one will turn into something. And then it's just one more, and then you never have to deal with me again, which is, probably the the best thing about it.
I was checking out your website. I might have to come back for some more coaching with
Well,
your new
I don't
lineup.
think you need it. I think you are an expert.
No,
You
no.
should. I think DC should hire you right now.
I would love to do some kind of but this would just be like my own mini series, but I would love to just keep putting out videos somehow if I can.
Yeah. Well, you know the what we've got that didn't Krantz do that
Yeah,
Insomniac thing
yeah.
coming up?
But I mean, like, I could just post on the. I haven't been using the member vids that much. Like, I haven't watched any, I don't think.
Yeah.
And
Well,
if I just
that's
post the
how I got
videos there,
decent at making these videos. I mean, at least I think I'm okay.
yeah.
But that's how I got decent at it is on yet another training site that I was a member of. I was making like member videos and posting them, and people liked them, so that kind of worked out. And then I just got more confidence in doing it, and then I got picked up here. But no, it's a great way to sort of cut your teeth by just making like member videos for free that you just show people.
Mhm.
Now we record these sessions obviously with Camtasia to pick up the video, but we also use Pamela, which is an add-on for Skype. So if the audio in these, for any of the people watching, if we have anybody left after 7 episodes, um, anybody watching, sometimes the audio might cut out, and it's not going to be like your top. And this is really true for any of these sweat session videos you watch on DC. It's not going to be, the top quality audio that you're kind of used to on Deuces Crack. So, you have to kind of cut us some slack for that. Sometimes it drops out, and sometimes I think when you talk at the same time, it like cuts out or something. I'm not sure. So just try to bear with the audio if it's not that great. So we're playing. What are we playing now? 650 Turbo.
650s, yeah.
That's exciting. Now
We already had
we last. You did? I
no,
didn't even know.
I did a knockout
Oh.
over on table 3.
Oh, that's good. I'm not even paying attention yet. I mean, I was waiting for the push fold. So last week we went over some of your hands in push fold and tried to see if you had made any substantial changes. And there were a couple of issues, sort of similar to the ones you started out with. But hopefully, just by pointing them out, things like bet sizing, building pots, shoving, when you've got 10 blinds or less, and
Yeah.
things like that. So hopefully that's all gone. And now, I mean, from here on in, I mean, these 650s should be still fairly soft. I mean, what's weird about once you get, so like you start at the two whatever it is, 230s, 225s, wherever they're on full tilt. And, that's a level you're going to find a lot of, just casual people buying in, maybe people not multi-tabling. People don't really know much. You can limp the twos.
Yeah, even with the person eliminated, I think I was still going to limp them.
Yeah, that's fine. But once you get up to the 650s, you get to the level where there are people that like live with their parents or go to college or, or that kind of thing, that they can actually be reasonably good players at this level. And you can actually grind out. If you have very low expenses, you could actually live off the 650s. You know what I mean? Like if you had like really low rent or lived with somebody or only wanted it as like a part-time job, you could conceivably, or if you lived in a van, you could live off. You could actually put in enough volume, because like say like I don't know, say you had a 5% ROI. Let's just be conservative, right? So 10% ROI would be 65 cents a game, and so 5% ROI would be like 37.5. So 37 cents a game if you played. What would 1,000 games? Well, let's say you could play 2,000 games a month, right? 2,000 games.
A game.
Yeah, times 2,000. That's $740 a month.
Yeah.
But obviously, you're not going to be living high up the hog. But again, if you're like a college student and you don't really care about going to class, or you live with your parents, or you just whatever, you have a part-time job. So there are people here that are like trying to make a living, and they're actually fairly decent at this level.
Yeah.
So this kind of implosion factor that you get isn't as pronounced. Now, obviously, there are people that are bad at this level. Clearly, I mean, it's the 650, so you don't have anything to worry about in that regard. But you will run into a lot of decent multi-tabling regulars once you get up to this kind of level, especially at the turbos.
Yeah, I noticed the difference between the 5s. There's only like 2 5s listed and 12 turbos listed, so somebody's just playing a ton of tables.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's for one thing. I mean, you're just going to find more multi-tabling people at the turbos than you are at the standard ones that you've been playing, and that's generally because, you can get more volume in, more rake back or points or whatever you get on Poker Stars.
Yeah.
And there are people that just grind out FPPs, and that 740 ROI, I mean that 740 like we talked about, that 37 cents a game times 2,000. I mean, that doesn't count points or anything like that, which could be a few more $100. So again, there are people that are like trying to make a living at these levels.
Yeah.
So you have to sort of be cognizant of that. So your ROI is certainly not going to be as good as it was
Right.
at those early levels.
Yeah. It's
Man,
already been moving since I played some of these turbos, so it's just going down a little bit.
Yeah, and the other thing about turbos, why like your ROI might be less at these, is there's just fewer hands per tournament
Right.
for your like natural edge to express itself.
Yeah.
Like if a tournament only lasted one hand, I mean, there's only so much you can do with one hand, right? And then if you had two hands, there's a little bit more you can do, and not much. So in general, the fewer hands, I just mucked the A7 on table 3. Don't worry about that. In general, the fewer hands that you're going to play in a tournament, the lower your overall edge is going to be, because there's just not a lot you can do. So, I mean, that's another thing that sort of mitigates that. I mean, that's why, so the super turbos have sort of a lower edge and so forth, and turbos are going to have a slightly larger edge than that, and then the standard speed are going to have, you have the greatest edge available to you at all. And I think it might be getting to the point where you can, if you don't mind the longer games and fewer games per hour, it's getting to the point where there's so few multi-tabling regulars at the standard speeds, because it's just not what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Or I should probably be quiet while you're doing something. But that's good. I think 200 is fine, or 2 whatever. As long as there's a 2 in it somewhere.
Yeah.
It's somewhat of a dangerous board, because it does connect with a lot of kind of hands that he might call with. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but... And the flush draw, the 6-7 are kind of straight cards for, 8. If so, he's got a hand with an 8 or a 9 in it, or lots of jacks are in there. So no big deal. But yeah, it's getting to the point where it's possible that your edge that you might have over the typical opponents in the standard speed ones could be large enough to compensate for how many fewer games you can get in per hour. I don't know if that's the case. That's just a thought.
Right.
But there will become a point where that's true, because it's sort of a principle of economics where all these things come into equilibrium at a certain point. And so, over the long run, the very long run, I don't think any given type of sit and go is probably ultimately more profitable per hour. Now, at any given time, it is, but these things tend to even out over time, because if there's more profit opportunity in one, then people migrate over there, and then of course the games get tougher, and they leave the other games, which get less tough, and so forth. So you got caught with your ace queen there.
Yeah. I don't know what.
Yeah. So I was playing around with Pamela, and I found this thing called the Mega Emotion Sounds Player, and apparently I can play sounds during the video. Like when I do a sweat video, like I can play laughter. Like here's laughter. That's annoying. But I can do that. There's also like a snore. How weird is that? So it's giving me like these really mischievous ideas about things I could do for future videos, but I won't get into it. So how many are you still playing? Like your 10 tables at a time, like max? Or you?
Yeah, I play usually 8 to 10. I think I played 12 the other day again, just to see what. I've been trying to get up a little higher, maybe. Like there's not that much of a difference. Although I go crazy on this little laptop with things just like popping up everywhere. If I had 10 table, it's like almost the max I can do.
Are you stacking them, or are you tiling? What are you doing?
No, yeah, I stack them, so they just pop right up in front of the others.
Yeah, that's the way to go. If you've got, probably more than 6. 6 you can probably still tile if you wanted to. But once you get more than 6, you got to cascade or stack for sure. 7s are rough there. You can probably limp if you're decent post flop, which by this point you probably are. Like when I gave those recommendations early in the series about, like the 20, 30, 40 guideline, where, ideally you're going to be in position in a multi-way pot and you can do it for 30 blinds. That's kind of a beginner guideline that I gave. If you're better post flop, you don't really need. I wouldn't really even. Is there one player in the pot?
Yeah, big blind.
Oh yeah, I guess you can do that. That's okay. Yeah, if there was somebody who voluntarily entered the pot, then I wouldn't. The fours. What do you think about the fours?
I was just gonna limp them. Although.
Yeah, you could do that. I think you're shallow enough. I mean, you're deep enough to do that. Even just for set value against one player. The problem is, of course, you're out of position, but there are other ways to win that hand just by limping. And I think if you're going to limp it, you've got to bet any flop too.
Yeah.
Like if your plan just is, I'm going to hit a set, then it's probably not going to be profitable enough. I think 50 to 75 is all right, or yeah. And that's a tight player. You could certainly raise those fours too.
I'm looking at his little nitty stats here.
Yeah, and you could certainly raise the fours against a lot of reasonable opponents for sure, just to try and take it down. I've been playing super turbos mostly lately, on full tilt. Like I started with like the very micro ones, and now I'm at the 15s, and I've been mixing in some. Because I'm trying to rebuild my bankroll, basically, after having the whole thing decimated by medical bills, which is great. It's for that testicle surgery. For those of you who are new, there's a thread, I think, back in December when I first got signed up to DC. It was sort of my intro thread where I described this testicle surgery that I had to have. It was emergency testicle surgery, which are pretty much like the 3 words you don't want to have applied to you in a sentence, So anyway, the medical bills from that were pretty bad, and so I've been trying to rebuild my bankroll, and so I'm playing the 15 super turbos now, and I'm back up to the. I've been mixing in some $24 turbos, regular turbos on full tilt, which is finally I can be at like a stake that I'm not like totally embarrassed to be playing, because at least it's double digits. But so I feel better that way. Ooh, look at this, the Kangs.
Like when I'm at this stage in a tournament now, I have in table 3, I have pretty much 10 big blinds.
Oh yeah. Well, let's see. That guy raised pre-flop. He's got pretty nitty stats. I could really see a fold here. Okay. I mean, he's played 60 hands and he's 7-3.
Yeah. So
whatever range of hands he's raising, he's probably not folding all that many of them because there's so few that he's raising to begin with. So if you're going to re-shove, that's going to depend, the value of that is going to depend a lot on getting him to fold so often, and I just don't think you do. And then when you get called, what are you going to be up against? Well, mostly better pairs and then flip situations, which, ultimately are not flip situations.
What do you think of his bet sizing, though, 255? When players think about putting in a weird bet like that,
it's not necessarily a weird bet. I mean, it could be that he's just, I mean, at this stage, we would very often be putting in a 250 raise, too, at the 5100 level, a 2.5 times raise. So maybe he just tacked on the last 5 just to be cute, and it doesn't mean anything,
Okay.
Some guys will do it. I mean, clearly, though, a guy with those stats he's raising is not, you're not really going to find like 9-8 offsuit in his range, so, or just weird hands. I mean, it's going to be solid hands against which you probably don't have all that great of equity with 9. Right. So you can fold a hand like 9s. I know there are guys who just, I got 9s. It's the 6th best hand or whatever. I'm all in. Well, I mean, you can't do that. I mean, these things have an EV, which is determined by all the factors, and you can't just say, well, screw it, it's 9s.
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of guys do, who are not very good. But unfortunately for him, we are very good, and we can fold our 9s. I sold my bike.
Yeah, you're telling me about that.
I did.
That's heartbreaking.
It really is. Well, happily, I didn't really ride that bike all that much. I think I had, on that particular bike, I had like less than 200 miles. My previous bike, it's like a Cannondale, what was it, M80, and that's where I put most of my miles on it. So this one I don't really have a lot of attachments to. But I got an okay price, like $375, and I think I originally paid, I don't know, $730. But so are you getting on your bike more or what?
Yeah, yeah. This is laggy now. I don't like this.
What's happening? PokerStars is in meltdown mode.
No, I think it might be. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I've been riding a lot more. I went running last night with my roommate. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
live here now, but he's going to summer school.
Yeah.
So we went running with the club last night. We're trying to. He does some triathlons. I've done some tries too. So we're trying to do a little more.
It's really embarrassing how in shape you are. To me. And it's four tables. Like I haven't played four tables in forever. King Queen suit in the cutoff. That's really close. First of all, I would put in a 250 raise. I mean,
Okay.
yeah. And the guy in the big blind, we sort of know a little bit about him, as I mentioned. He should be a solid player, and he's multi-tabling, so we wouldn't expect to get screwed with too much.
Mm-hmm.
So we can go ahead and raise a hand like that in the cutoff, more often. King Jack.
King Jack fold it.
Yeah, I would fold that. But you can start raising hands like that on the button.
Right. I just didn't know there's three players eliminated before the.
Yeah, I mean, I would still stick in the cutoff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like hijack or whatever. I would still stick to my kind of normal requirements.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that Jack of Hearts is, guy? What's that? There's a site called like Sit and Go Planet, I think. And I think I've seen him write articles on there or something. I'm not.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, he's written articles, man. You better look out. Anybody that writes an article is a beast.
Just flops us straight too.
Yeah, why not? Look at that. He's got like. I like when I get the super straight. Where you have like a 7-card straight.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. The 5s here, I would just stick it in. I wouldn't even get cute. I mean, yeah, no, it's folded to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just stick it in. I wouldn't get cute. He's tight. So, normal raise would probably do the same thing, but I don't want to see a flop and have to play out of position and all that.
Right.
So you don't get spooked just because, it's 13 blinds or whatever. Just, just get it in. A good shove is a good shove, and it's better than not making it. So, usually. So, what about your World Series dreams? Are you still playing those?
Yeah, I played those steps. I did a rework of that Excel sheet that I had. I think it's going to be a little higher than a couple.
Wait, what?
But
Oh, you did a.
I did. I just made like an Excel program. I think I still have it up. I could probably bring it up and show you later. But like I even accounted for the repeats and stuff that I'm going to do.
Yeah.
The steps, and it's the amount of money that I spend doing it is going to be pretty high. Based on like my ITM, and that's pretty much it. I didn't really account for my RO.
You're in the money percentage, and then okay. So people who don't know what's going on, I think. So what you did is you made a spreadsheet to figure out like how much you would have to spend given your in the money percentage and your so forth at various levels. Like how much money would you have to spend to get your 10,000 World Series seat? And you came up with some absurd figure like $5 or something.
No, at first I thought it was like 300.
Yeah.
Because the first step for stars is, for absolute poker is 10 cents. So I wouldn't like spend $1 for step 3. I would just start at 10 cents right away because I figure I can. I have 10 shots with $1. I can easily get to at least one step 3.
Right.
So I've just been playing step 1s all the time. Just jam this one.
This is a Spixel that's raising. Yeah, with his stats, I probably would there. Yeah. No, that's not what we wanted. Come on, running 9-7. Let's go. No.
Queen.
Oh, that's a shame.
Straight.
Well, you can't beat it straight, man.
No.
That's just straight. Do you want to? You can open another one if you
Yeah, I was
want.
gonna load one.
Yeah. We'll stop. Like if it gets to be about 35 minutes, and we'll keep loading them until it's like 35 minutes or so, something like that. So you got your ace queen up there, Shizaki. There was a guy I remember playing with at Caesars when I lived in Las Vegas. And he was there for like a week or so on vacation, and he was playing the same tournament I was, like every day. And when he would go all in, because he got fairly deep in most of the tournaments that I got deep in, he would say Shizaki. So I've been saying that ever since, because it's so funny. Which really sucks. What's today? Today is June whatever, and pretty much everybody in the poker world is at the World Series, and I'm in my closet. So. And you're out of another one.
Yeah, 30 ace queen.
Yeah, they're ace queen no good. Here's another one. I think you should just probably open fold. Uh-oh.
Let me throw it in.
I know. There it is. I hate computers. I'm sorry. And I don't like really online poker all that much either, but I guess I won't say that. So yeah, pretty much everybody I know is at the World Series, and I'm stuck in my closet playing $14 Super Turbos and crying. And I would have been at the World Series too if it weren't for the damn testicles. I mean, testicles will do you in every time, right? Nice. So did you open another one to replace two?
Yeah, I gotta open.
Right.
I'm playing with another monitor, and my stars disappeared on there, so I have to bring it up in front of all these.
Oh, really? So you have the dual monitor setup.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be careful when you like open computer stuff on, when you're making a video. You're like, yeah, there's like my porn or what's showing. I don't really look at porn. My life is wild enough. I don't need porn in my closet. I think that's probably why I don't really look at pornography, because like how pathetic would that be? I mean, I'm already in a closet. Like if I'm sitting in a closet looking at porn, I mean that's just like, just give up. So pretty much every hand we've had is ace queen, and we've just lost every time.
Yeah.
That's good. Productive session.
I don't want my hit zero at the end of this.
It might.
That would be awful.
Well, it might. You have to prepare for that. There's like in some universe, just like you and your step adventure, where you're like, all right, 1 out of 3,000 times I gotta go all the way. Right? Well, yeah, 1 out of like 1 billion times you're gonna like just lose all your money like in a row.
Yep.
Not a billion. I don't know math. So turbos. Now, do you feel like this weird additional like pressure of these turbos, because you hated turbos?
Yeah, I still feel uncomfortable, I guess, playing them, but I know I'm with good bankroll. I'm ready to just jam 8-9 here.
Yep. Yeah, especially against a player that tight.
Yep.
And pretty much, if they didn't deal me any cards, I'd show anyway.
Boom.
Oh, that's no good.
Running.
Oh, look at that! Here comes. All right. No. We're good. Even the best of us is this. I think the lesson of this is even the very best single player can run really bad. I had an awful time at at these super turbos. I lost. I played like over the course of a few days. I wasn't putting in heavy hours, but I played a little bit, and I put in about 220 of the 220 of them over a couple days. Mm-hmm. And I dropped like 71 buy-ins in 220 games. Like it was not good. It was not good at all. I did not need to do that. And I was 50 buy-ins below expectation.
Oh, wow.
At Showdown. Like at Showdown. Like, I was getting called all the time, losing every time. Just awful. There's really nothing worse than a single player just complaining. Because, the thing is, I think that's so tilting about sit and go, and why I think there's a lot of things that are harder about it than cash games. Is just psychologically,
Yeah.
you see a lot more showdowns, right? So
Yeah.
if you're a person who's not in control of your emotions, or you think the universe is out to get you, and oh, will this ever change? If you're this kind of person, then the sit and goes are just not for you. You're better off playing a game where there's just fewer showdowns, like cash or plinko. I don't know, but yeah, it really takes a lot of resolve to see so many showdowns. But what's good about it, and I think I alluded to this in an earlier episode or whatever, I mean, a lot of the high-stakes cash game players now started out as sit-and-go players, and one of the things that this game kind of teaches you, and why I think it's a really great entry point, or even it's kind of like a filter. If you can't handle sit-and-goes, in a
Yeah.
lot of ways, you'll probably never be.
Oops.
I don't know what you're doing there, dude.
I was trying to move it so I could minimize my
Yeah.
my HUD here.
Yeah, but I won't say if you can handle sit and goes, but if you can handle sit and goes and like the weird variants and just seeing showdowns and losing over and over like hundreds of times in a row, and you'll pretty much see every hand beat every other hand. You know what I mean? You'll see deuce three beat whatever nines.
Right.
You'll see every single showdown possibility and every outcome. So if you see that over and over again, you're going to have this sort of indifference to results, which is going to serve you well when you go on to move other games. So I think sit and goes are a really good entry point for one thing, because it teaches you that, but it also kind of, I don't know that, well, I don't want to say things like that. I don't want to overstep my bounds, but I just don't, if you can't handle the seeing those showdowns lose every single time, then you're going to have a hard time being a really good, like, kind of Tommy Angelo type serene poker player, Ooh, hitters.
On
Okay.
table 1, I mucked Jack 7 pretty quickly last time.
On the button,
Yeah, did you?
I would have shoved the Jack 7.
Yeah, I just thought of that. I just wasn't paying attention to the table, I guess.
Yeah, and I was distracting you.
That's
and,
right.
Yeah,
But as long as I know, now that I look back, I think I would have jammed it too.
Yeah,
especially on the button.
what's funny about sit and goes, as I go off another tangent and distract you again,
No, it's okay.
is that a lot of players will, there's a lot made about, shoving in the small blind, shoving in the small blind, shoving the small blind. So people kind of get that early, and they can sort of see the logic of it. I'm only against one player, so we're just sucking ass right now. That's all right. Open another one. I'm only going to do this video once. I don't care what happens. But what was I saying? What was I saying? I had an important point. What were you saying before I was saying what I was saying?
Mm,
See, I could just stop the video, rewind, watch, and then no, I'm not gonna do that.
record some audio over it.
Yeah. Let's see. I was talking about indifference to results and blah blah blah. Oh, shoving. Yeah. So people get like the shoving from the small blind thing pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
They hear about it. It's like, oh, you have any two from the small blind. Like, everybody can remember that. Every forum you watch, every forum you read, you see, oh, I would shove any two here. So they can kind of get that easy, and it's easy to see sort of the internal logic of it. I'm only against one player, and they're not going to pick up a hand every so often. So I could probably get away if my stack is short enough with, shoving a lot. So people sort of get that.
Mm-hmm.
But what they don't really get is how wide you can shove very often from the button, and especially like the cutoff and even the hijack. If you're those four factors I always harp on, fold equity, hand strength, risk reward, those are those govern all your like push fold decisions in a sit and go, and not just the small blind. And so those don't go away just because you're in the cutoff. It can be a little bit more difficult to sort of get a handle on them, though, when you have to push through more players and so forth. It gets a little more complicated. But what ends up happening is if you've got, a significantly shorter stack than most of the table, then your risk is less, right? You have less equity in the tournament than anybody
Right.
else, and your standing isn't as good, and your chance of finishing in a money spot isn't as good. So very often, if you find yourself in the cutoff or the hijack with 6, 7 blinds in a reasonable looking hand, Jack 8 suited, kind of Queen Jack offsuit, where some players are just prone to auto muck those things. Very often, you will find there are a lot of shoves you're missing. And I saw a thread in the DC forums the other day about how a guy was not happy with his finish distribution, and or was it the DC forum? Maybe it was 2+2, something like that. I don't know. I read so much stuff, but he was not happy with his finish distribution, and people were chiming in like, "Well, it's probably your heads-up play," and another guy said, "Well, it's your early game play," and another guy said, "It's this." Nobody mentioned the fact that with 7 to 8 or 9 players left in the tournament, and a short stack sort of in the cutoff and hijack, that people miss a lot of shoves, and that's like one of the big leaks that I notice in like the billions of hands that I've seen, having coached people. So if you're searching over your games and trying to look for a way to find another edge, those of you out there, start just pausing when you've got like a cutoff or hijack decision, and you've got a hand with some sort of reasonable. Here we got kings here.
This guy just wrecked ace queen with 6-4 of hearts earlier.
I'll get him.
I recognize the guy on the right here too, Claudio Oxcore.
Yeah, you got
I have
1,000.
1,100 hands against him.
Yeah. Well, he calls. I mean, I don't think there's any alternative to just trying to bet as large as we can and get all in him. I mean, if he has a 2 here,
yeah,
it's a miracle. And you got ace queen on the left here, so don't, Against the min raiser, I would call the ace queen. I don't think there's anything wrong. The stacks are still shallow enough. I don't usually like the flat call, and I remember when we started the series, I told you never ever flat call a raise, but that's because you were so bad post flop, So he has ace-7. Brilliant. Good. It's good. I know it's easy to laugh, but maybe we should feel pity.
I saw somebody's graph the other day that just went straight down from 0 to 1,000. I felt so bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was me like the other day. Maybe, are you sure it wasn't mine? Queen Jack, I most often let it go. I mean, you can raise hand. Oh, there's a limper.
Yeah, I didn't see that either.
Definitely let it go. But there are some people out there that think that you can really start to open up in the early game because players are so passive and risk averse, and so forth. But it's weird, and I think there's something to that actually. That people are maybe a little bit over tight in the early game, and I included. I mean, when I advise amateurs or beginners or people just starting coaching and playing, coaching with me and playing these games, I mean, I advise the same kind of over tightness that everybody else does. But I think that could be, it's an area where people can open up a little bit because everybody is so passive and so tight. Well, not everybody, but especially as you move up, and everybody sort of knows to do the same thing. It's another one of those sort of exploitable tendencies that people think is the right thing. Yeah, 80 to 100 is good. And people get this idea that, well, you want to be tight early, be really, really tight early, and some guys will say, well, only play aces and kings, which is absurd, but be really tight early, and so they think that, yeah, that's rough. I guess 3-betting is okay. I like to flat call ace king in that spot, because if I get shoved on here, I'm not super happy about it. And I feel like since I made a 3-bet, I fold the queen 8 there. Yeah, see, I don't know. That's a rough one. I mean, a guy who's under the gun raises, we re-raise, and he shoves. I just think ace-king is not really that great. I mean, it's really close. So if it came up in Wizard that we should call, I wouldn't be surprised. But we should figure to have a decent edge on. What did you show? Ace King? I think he showed Ace King. Good for him. But oh no, he showed
Kings.
King. All right, good, nice, good fold, sir. But I mean, that range is just so easy to suss out. So anyway, I was kind of on this early game stuff. People talk about how you have to be so tight early. But if you really think about it from a risk-reward perspective, the lowest penalty, I would probably fold to an under-the-gun raiser.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, even though it's ace-queen, and he does, he is a 33-7, but the 7 is low, so that just means one hand out of 15 that he's raised. So I would fold ace-queen, I think, even though it's suited. His early position, kind of 2.5 times raised, just I don't know what to make of that, so just get out of there. Yeah, from a risk-reward perspective, the penalty for getting involved is the least in the early levels. I mean, in the late levels,
Right.
the closer you get to the bubble, the more of a penalty there is. This ICM tax that they talk about. It's a penalty that the equity leakage. I mean, there's 1,000 terms for it, but it's least in the early game. Now, granted, there is still some equity leakage or ICM tax or whatever you want to call it, but it's the least there is in the tournament. So to say that, you should be the tightest in the early game isn't really, I mean, it's not really true. Now, obviously, you should be tight, but I think a lot of that advice comes from the guys who were playing it. It's like a carryover from the guys who were playing it like in 2003, 2004, playing these games, where players were so bad that you could expect to have a really decent edge. Now, did you flat call ace? Oh, you raised it. Okay.
I raised it, but
All
I think
right.
that hit somebody.
It's a pretty dry flop, but against two players, I'm not really even. I'm not. I don't like c-betting against two players, even on a flop that dry. So anyway, I'm just rambling
I
about.
guess he has my kings are dead, I guess. Dunk it out.
200 into I can't see the pot size. I would, so you raised in what he called? Is that what happened?
I just folded him.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
He donked it out. I mean, there's no way I can represent like a high ace.
Yeah, I know he's not really folding an ace. If he's calling with an ace, he's not folding an ace,
He's really passive stats. So.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just rambling. But that's okay. I mean, I think the best things I ever say are when I don't really plan on saying them. So anyway, I guess the upshot is I'm just saying that it's possible that you can be a lot looser than you think in the early game. I think a lot of the advice to be really, really super tight early comes from players who were playing in like 2003, 2004 when players were so bad and other players were just knocking themselves out left and right, where you could figure to have a really big edge just by waiting around, for players to knock themselves out and to give you that sort of equity boost by leaking their equity to you. But the games are a lot different now. And players' tendencies, and especially at the higher levels as you move up, sir, players' tendencies will not be to just, get spectacularly, busted out in stupid ways. It's really just to play solid, straightforward, kind of erring on the passive side poker. And, you don't exploit that by doing the same thing, So that being said, I'm not raising the king 7, but but I don't know if I've thought enough about that to know exactly what levels of aggression are appropriate in the early game if I'm going to open up at all. So are we even close? Have we even approached a bubble at all in this whole session?
No, I think close as we got is 6th.
Yeah, but maybe it sort of ties in, to like our first episode. I mean, you just can't. I mean, you're going to have sessions where you don't even approach a bubble, or you don't even cash, and you just have to sort of be zen about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you have an Insomniac entry?
Submission? Yeah, we did last week, I guess. I did it with AKA Peanut Butter.
Oh yeah.
We were doing like all to make them move from a sit and go player to 6 max.
Mm-hmm. So you guys know how to do that?
No,
That's what
no,
I
we
was gonna
would need
say.
some coaching for that.
Yeah, if you could teach me how to do that, that would be great. Well, I do.
Six max cash, not ring game, not sit and go.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. I wish you could
Yeah.
tell me how to do that. No, I do all right. I mean, I sort of have like a poker sense, so I don't know. I kind of, even though
Yeah.
I don't think once you get to a certain level of proficiency, even in sit and goes, as long as you just have enough poker under your belt, you're not really a fish. As long as you have some sort of emotional control, you're not really going to be a fish in any poker game. I mean, what's true of one poker game is pretty much true of all of them. Here you go. Obviously, fold the king jack here. I would.
You would
What's
limp
true?
it.
Yeah, I wouldn't even limp it. I mean, for what? What am I hoping for? But I mean, what's true of like one poker game is ultimately true of another one in its broad fundamentals. You still want to find situations where you have a large advantage, and when you do, you want to put money in.
Hmm.
It doesn't change just because the game is Omaha or or stud high low or whatever. You still have to find profitable situations and invest in them. I mean,
Right.
that's really what it comes down to. And you want to be and you want to put pressure on weak players who tend to fold too much. I mean, it's all poker. So I mean, obviously the nuances are going to be different because the rules are different, but you'll know that you're pretty decent when you can just sit down in any kind of poker variant and just not. You're not going to be one of the biggest winners if you never played it before, but you shouldn't be a massive fish. I mean,
Right.
not to, you know, like limp every hand, of course, unless you're playing Omaha, but
I think the thing with the 6 max, our thing was we can be a little more creative. Whereas if you give one sit and go game to two sit and go players, they're gonna have to play it pretty much the same way.
yeah, yeah, that's true for sure.
And when you're this is the difference for all cash, not just 6 max, but you get to do different things with different lines.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot more ambiguity because the stacks are, deeper and ranges are different, more divergent from player to player.
Just jam this.
No, I wouldn't just jam it. I mean, you're 22 blinds deep against one guy, 17 against another. You can open raise it if you want,
Okay.
like 300, but I wouldn't jam that, no. So I've often thought about like just switching over to cash or whatever, but I don't know. I just can't stop thinking about singles.
Yeah, I do like the singos too. I mean, it would be different if, well, I guess that's the reason they're called singos, is you can't come back in. I mean, the blinds go up, but
Yeah. I just like the beginning and middle and end. I don't know.
yeah.
All right, so what happened there? I guess there was a micro stack there.
Yeah, he had 140
Nice.
KO.
So hopefully you guys get someone to make your series. That'll be good.
Yeah, I don't know what we were. I guess that was our big goal. We got a T-shirt out of it, I think, or everybody did last week, because Krantz hadn't did what we were supposed to do to let them know that we made it on Sunday.
Oh yeah, I think he was like busy sweating Ansky or something at the
Yeah, it was definitely
whatever.
a better time for him.
Yeah, I know. So you got a T-shirt out of it.
Yeah, they're gonna send it, I guess.
I have to say, I mean, I have one of these. I don't know which T-shirt they're sending you, but let's see. Yeah, you can shove the King 9 of Hearts there. That's one of those spots that a lot of people miss that I think are good. I mean, even if it's a close spot, there's advantages to having more chips than just your ICM equity.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what we get called with. Don't worry, we're gonna win. See, look at that. I knew it.
Off the boat.
Yep, that's nice. God, I love full houses. They're really cool.
They're so pretty.
I know. But that shirt. So I'm not sure which shirt they're sending you, but I got sent a shirt, and I'm very listen. I don't want to sound like an ingrate, and I got very appreciative. But it's a very thick cotton. It's a little too thick. It's really too thick. I like a nice light shirt. I mean, I'm in Texas, and I know that like a lot of these guys like, are in Seattle and New York where they need like a nice thick T-shirt.
Yeah.
But like I'm in Texas, and I lived in Nevada, and I need a light shirt. Yeah, you could do that. You could shove the queens, I guess. I like to try to lure people in. But then again, by shoving, you make your hand look like ace king or something weaker. So maybe you do get calls from weaker hands. But
I like to wait usually. I don't, not to fold, but for raises, like just for tells, I've been working on waiting a couple seconds.
Oh yeah, throw off some
jam,
calls.
and then I can think about it too. Is this really what I want to do? What'll happen if this happens or whatever?
That's good. People too often make the automatic play. Now, who's this guy? Sprotty? Is that who that guy is?
Yeah.
I could see a shove. I could see a fold. Well, I just wouldn't limp. That's the only thing I wouldn't do.
Yeah, I was going to shove it.
Yeah, it's hard to say what he'll call with, but I think we should have enough fold equity that's probably okay, and we're increasing our stack by like 1/6, and that's pretty good. And it's just hard to say because the problem is a lot of the hands you'll limp with will have us dominated, but well, I don't know, we'll see what happens. If it works, then it was right. So, well, that's not good. All right, put running queen 9 out there. I love all right, that's better. I'll take that. Yeah, it's hard to say. I think some players are who read like the Moshman book.
Yeah.
Get a little too over aggressive with their shove over high blind limpers. And I've actually talked to Moshman about it, and he thinks his advice might have been a little too aggressive for high blind limpers. So I hope he's not watching. Well, I know he's not watching because he's a busy man. The queen jack on that button that you had in the top left, that's pretty darn close, and you could probably shove that if you wanted to. The player in the left is pretty tight, 9/6 over 47 hands, and probably isn't calling you without a premium. And then, of course, there's kind of one thing that's interesting is when you're shoving from the button. Well, okay, like a lot of guys, like they get really upset if they have like a loose guy to their left or immediate left, like to the seat just to the left of them.
Right.
But so obviously shoving directly into him like small blind, big blind, you're not happy about. But there's a sense in which that sort of doesn't help you in a way, I guess. But it's not. People overrate that when they're shoving, say, from the button. Let's see, king, queen, fairly reasonable players behind. You could probably get away with a shove. If you wanted to fold, I wouldn't be upset either. But either one is probably okay. I just wouldn't call. That's it. I mean, I like to err on the side of aggression in turbos because again, you get to play so few hands. There's just spot. People say, "Well, I want to wait for a better spot." Well, spots are constantly degrading, or at least degrading faster in turbos. So there might not ever be a better spot. There's my dog. He's a cat. My dog hates cats. Like, I mean, not just like in the cliche like dogs versus cats thing, but like she abnormally hates cats, like really bad. Like for example, like she has injured. She's an 11-year-old dog, and she has injured like both of her ACL, like whatever the dog equivalent of the ACL is, the ligament in her leg, her knee, or wherever it is. Injured both of them in cat-related accidents. Because she so aggressively goes after cats, and now so each knee is totally gone. She's 12 years old, or 11 years old, has hip problems, and can barely even walk because of cats. It's really, I mean, she just goes friggin' apeshit. I mean, it's just
like a real small dog.
She's kind of a medium small dog. She's some part Australian cattle dog, which is sort of a shepherding dog. Herding dog. You can raise the ace too if you want. If you wanted to make it, the only problem is the 34-7 in the big blind. So I might tend to fold against 34. But against a reasonable kind of type player, I can raise a lot of hands from that position with those stacks. this is kind of that, I don't know if I've talked about it on a video on Deuce's Crack, but to a lot of coaching students, one of the things that I think is pretty exploitable is that attitude that people have about 15 big blind stacks around there being awkward, and I think that almost everybody believes that. Let's see, can you just you probably could just ship that and just because the deepest guy you're up against is like 14 blinds or something like that. So I prefer just to not even deal with it. And you might fish a call out of like ace queen or ace jack, or just think that you're insane. But anyway, like these stacks that are 15 big blinds, if you and the two people in the blinds have it and you're on the button, a lot of players think that's like an awkward stack size. And so when people think things are awkward, what's their natural reaction going to be? It's going to be, well, I don't know what to do. I'll just fold now and move on. Because people don't know. Should I raise? Should I fold? Should I
just fold the 6-2?
Against that type player, I would shove that for sure. I mean, he's got 8 blinds or so, 8 to 9 blinds. He's tight.
Yeah.
I would think that's an any 2, and clearly if we're shoving 6-2, we're shoving anything. I would probably shove the king queen there.
Yeah.
A little bit, sketchy because of the 32-15, but so anyway, I think this whole thing is, tangents. I go on tangents. Something happens. I forget what I was talking about, and then start on a new.
You're talking about your dog.
Oh yeah, well that's important. No, she's a sweetheart, and she's a very nice dog, but she has that fatal flaw. Those cats just tilt her hard. And it's not even any other thing, like a squirrel, she'll she'll interest in it, but she's not like insane about it. Cats, she just freaking flips out. And what's weird is we had like this family of feral cats next door, and she would see them through the slats in the fence, and she would just like hours. And the little baby feral cats would just like be looking at her, just like what? What's your problem? So, I mean, pretty clearly, listen, you're not a losing player anymore. Wouldn't you say that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel comfortable if I ever run into trouble just dropping down, because I do pretty well in regular limits.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, that was the goal of the whole thing. I mean, do we really even need an episode 8? I don't know.
Just ship ace queen.
Let's see. Well, I mean, you timed out. That's a spot where you probably could. It's probably marginally profitable at least. I mean, it's not going to be unprofitable to do it. Right. But the fact is, the time when we shoved the ace king, I think the stacks were a little, like, for example, this guy over here, Robinson Fire. I don't know if you can see that. There he is. Like, this Robinson Fire was a little bit shallower.
Yeah.
And the stacks were much more even, so we weren't, nobody had us covered, I think. So you could probably ship the ace queen if you wanted to. Like, if you didn't know what to do and you were afraid of playing post flop, and you wanted to get at least some value for your hand, yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm. You're probably good enough where you can probably just raise 2.5 times or something like that, and just see what happens. So either way, but you can't be afraid to shove just because it's like 14 blinds. You can say, "Well, I can shove that." See what other sounds I have on here. I have applause. Isn't that nice? Yeah, is that the bubble?
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, it's close actually. But I think you can shove ace 10 there. I mean, I'm afraid a little bit because of the looseness of those guys, but there are antes. So where if you were in no ante game, you could really consider not getting involved. With the ante, that's going to make you more involved, right?
Yeah.
So that queen 3 is a spot where if you wanted to, try to squeeze out a little extra money, you could, try to make it like 2.5 times raise and just steal it. So finally, we have a bubble spot. It only took us an hour to get there. But But we
I think
have,
I should just bet 200 here.
you could. I don't. Let's see. I don't know what he's calling with. I mean, he might call you with ace high, but what the hell? Try it and see what happens. There you go.
He checked really quickly at the end there.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's a tell, of course, and I think that's good. I don't like limping in the spot.
Yeah.
But we do have that guy covered, the guy who limped, so yeah, I would go ahead and shove the sixes here. Wow, that's pretty bad.
Call and hit a set.
Not a problem.
Oh, no, don't do that.
Come on. Thank you. It's always good to boat up. So yeah, a guy who's like a 35-0, you do have to look out for him trapping.
Yeah.
Because he'll just limp every hand.
That's one problem I've had playing, not really the turbos. They don't really have time to trap, but in the $5, if I'm in jam mode, I've been trapped numerous times by aces.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm in one of the blinds. I think it's happened like 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah.
And I need to get used to that because people are going to do that in a regular game. I've had decent hands. Both times I remember I had ace queen the one time and pocket fives in another. So.
Well, the higher you get, the more often a limp is going to be a stronger hand. Like at lower levels, yeah.
And I knew it too when they did it. I was like, oh, he never limped before in the game. And then when it happened, like, oh, no wonder.
Yeah. So you are in the money. That's exciting.
Yeah. Now this is why I like the higher. Well, not just necessarily higher buy-ins, but all I have to do is like.
I would now that 2-7. You might consider. Go ahead, throw a 600 raise out and just see what happens. I mean, that's a tight player. An 8-6 through 49 hands is tight.
Yeah.
So he's playing straightforward. So there's nothing wrong with going ahead and trying to just rob him once in a while.
Good call. Oh, aux cores teach somebody a lesson.
Negative EV calls. I mean, I haven't even done a video on negative EV calls, so maybe I should get a hold of him and see if he can teach me some stuff. So. Go troll elsewhere. I used to be such a jerk in the chat. Like when I started out, I don't know if I've mentioned this on video either, and if I'm repeating myself, I apologize, but maybe somebody hasn't seen it. I used to, when I was on Poker Stars, my avatar is the word haha, right? That's all it says, just haha. Like, so whenever, like, it's just a picture, like whenever I suck out on somebody, it says haha, and then I tilt them. Or if I beat them legitimately, then it's just, that's what it says. Yeah. And the way that started is because when I was short stacking, like really, really, really early in stars, like 2002, I thought I would get more, like I was trying to, now I'd obviously shove the 8s here. Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, that's fine. You're short enough. I didn't, your HUD is kind of blocking people.
Yeah, I need to, well, it's not a problem when I have...
Yeah, that's just for this. But anyway, like I was, I would say haha because I thought it would get people involved with me looser or like tilt them or whatever, and it actually did work. So I used to type haha after every hand that I played, no matter what it was. This is before I knew anything. So good. I mean, we're finally in some late game situations, which is very nice. Mm-hmm. I mean, we couldn't buy one to start off with. Are you going to be late for work? It's like 2. No, you go.
No, I'm good. I didn't actually see the time. I didn't even notice the time here.
No, it's 2 o'clock your time.
Yeah.
If you move
to
Texas,
it should be a busy day. I work at a golf course, so it's pretty busy.
Is this like a nice golf course where like real golfers show up, or?
It's a public golf course, so it's not like a country club.
Oh, okay.
But it's still really nice. It's one of the better ones in the area here because the ground's crude.
Let's see. I mean, that's a type player. I mean, it's probably a high risk, low reward kind of thing. The 4-7, you can fold the 4-7. I mean, I
picked on him enough, I guess, too.
Yeah. Sometimes in my moods, I will shove hands like that. Queen 9 you may consider. That Queen 9 also in the top left you could consider as well. Just because of the ante, I mean, that's the thing. People who transition from full tilt to Poker Stars sometimes miss a lot of these spots where the ante turns it, from what would be a fold on full tilt into what would be a shove on Poker Stars. So if you're in that situation where you're transitioning sites, just make sure. Obviously, that's going to be, well, I don't understand the min raise, but it works. I would have just jammed on it. Yeah.
This the same hand then, King 7.
It's a little bit deep,
And this guy too.
It really depends. This is kind of a fold equity dependent thing, So
yeah, he's picked it up too. He's been aggressive. Well, maybe got some hands,
but that doesn't mean he's going to call more. That's the thing.
No, but I mean, like if I just pass it off to him to eliminate this guy.
Yeah. For sure. So I also have a ticking clock. Right. So I don't know. I think I'm going to make use of this feature. Like I just discovered it today. A heartbeat. It's nice. So I would. I
think Jack 7.
I think you can go ahead and shove against that type player in the blind. I mean, you're the lowest stack. There's an ante. The blinds are huge.
Mm-hmm.
Even if Sit and Go Wizard says, "Oh, it's slightly negative EV," that's okay because you're in a situation where your table situation is not great. So
same with Ace 8.
That's pretty close, but I probably would do it. I think you're going to get enough folds. The players seem to be pretty reasonable. It's a lot thinner than the Jack 7, to be honest, just because your stack is a little bit closer to the other guys now, and you got to get through one other player. But it's probably okay, against what they're reasonably actually going to be calling with.
Call these.
Yeah, I don't think I fold Ace King three-handed really ever. And you get called by Ace Jack, which is a shame, but maybe a 4 will come out. Or a 5. Or that, which doesn't really help you. So that's a shame. I mean, we could, look at that thing and Sit and Go Wizard and, against certain, if we knew he was calling with Ace Jack, it's possible that it's a fold. But we'd have to look in the Wizard. But I'm okay with it. I've made my peace with it. And frankly, it's not my money, so I don't care. And so, obviously, we're just shoving the Queen 10 or whatever. It's a shove. You can put whatever funny amount you want in there. So,
dominated.
Yeah. Look at that.
Bing.
Winner, winner. Well, that's good. So at least I mean, obviously we're down for the session, but what can you do, man? Yeah, it's pretty nice as you start to move up in stakes and then you start getting your firsts and it's like $27,
Yeah.
Before you're playing twos and first place is $9. You're like, oh, I guess. But all of a sudden, yeah, 27. Sweet. Aces are sweet.
They're always nice. A little timing.
Yeah.
Ship.
Yeah. So you got to shove the 8-4 there. It's a pretty easy ship there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought this guy was part of the... I didn't see he was a player. Ooh. Jack 8 too.
Well, you've got a player that's below you.
Oh yeah.
So I like to be maybe a little bit overcautious. Again, against the kind of things they're calling with, it might be okay. And if you did, I wouldn't quarrel. But Queen Jack, that's close. You could do it if you wanted to, if you were inclined to. If you're not inclined, it's an okay pass. But either way, anything that's close, it really doesn't matter what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So look at that, Shizaki. And that's the other, on this second table here, where you're considering shoving that whatever hand you had the previous hand. What was the hand you were considering? What was the last hand you had here on this table?
I was thinking it was like Was it Queen 8?
Yeah, whatever it was.
Jack 8.
Jack 8 suited, which is actually my favorite. Like, everyone has a fetish hand. Like, that's my favorite. Now, obviously, Jack 6 is a shove here. But, you also have to consider the dynamic of, well, if I fold, is the person I'm folding to likely to shove and get involved too?
Mm-hmm.
So you also have to consider that. And, well, whatever. No, one left. That's it. Which is good, because you have to get to work, so. And there it is. Anytime. Let me get my blue arrow out of there. All right. And here's another bubble.
This is little 400. All right, let's go.
Now let's do this. Oh, I love full.
Whoa, wow!
I love getting a walk.
A platinum star.
He's a platinum star, and he gave you a walk, which is shocking.
Yeah.
Which means he probably doesn't deserve his platinum star. I mean,
fold this one, right?
Yeah, I mean, just because there's a guy that's so much shorter than you,
yeah,
the risk is pretty. I mean, you can shove that. I mean, if you knew some more about this guy and that he were tight or whatever. But there are a lot of times I sort of prefer to let this guy get involved when I'm in third place and have a lead on him. I prefer to sort of let him get involved. I mean, shoving wouldn't be awful. I'm not going to shove that because this guy's pretty likely to get involved. And this is kind of one of those times where, you don't ever want to play for third, but if there's anything close to that, this is it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. All right, that's...
Yeah.
All right.
No king.
Or we could just put a king out there to make it interesting.
No 10.
There it is. There it is. Well, good. Now we have, now we get to talk more. So this guy has shown no inclination to shove at all. What's his shove from the small blind?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's giving us a walk, so
50.
It would be really close to call that. And obviously this is going to be our serve. It's folded. And that guy's doing his job, what he should be doing. Nothing we can do. Do you think that's really what that person looks like?
Let me see. No, it looks like almost like a Katie Holmes, but not quite.
Yeah. Of course, you don't look like this girl either.
Right. And you can tell by the way the white lines are on the side. Everyone's like, "Oh, is that a picture of you, Velo?" And I'm like, no.
Why? What are those white lines?
It looks like it's ripped from a magazine.
Oh, because it is.
Yeah, well, from a online picture.
Oh.
I'll show you when I fold again. I mean, you can see both lines right there.
Yeah. But you don't even know who that girl is. That's what's weird.
Yeah.
Like, if you wanted to find that picture of her again, could you find it?
Yeah, I found it on a cycling website that I like to look at.
Right. Yeah, this guy's doing his job. That's what you should be doing. I hope you're doing that.
Makes my life easy.
What does he have to? What does she have to do that? Anything?
Yes, with 2 to almost 3 to 1 chip.
Yeah.
And the blinds at high. Yeah.
I would let that go.
Yeah.
When I have a lead or when 3 stacks are short, I'm all right with that. See, this I would probably just get rid of too.
Call.
Yeah. Brr. Well, that's gonna be a rough one if a small blind shoves on us.
Yeah, I was just thinking of it too. That's gonna be
because
the first time
he's given us so many walks.
How 400 left.
I mean, because this guy should be shoving pretty much with any 2 because of how tight we are. But is he? I mean, he's not shoving any 2.
I don't think so.
That's really, really close.
I'll let it go.
Yeah, I think that's all right. I mean, it's a really strong hand to fold, and I know I'm probably going to catch flack in the in the comments, but just given what his range is and that he's given us so many walks already. Plus, since he's giving us so many walks, we should expect to sort of get more of them. So that's sort of a source of chips. That's an edge that isn't really quantified in the ICM. Now, if he starts shoving here, then maybe maybe he's picked it up, but yeah, I'm still folding. I mean, if we're folding the previous hand, we're folding this, right?
Yep. Yep.
Wow, all right, see, I mean, it's not an unreasonable hand for him to have, but so maybe we shouldn't have folded the ace-9 of hearts, but again, we've got giving us so many walks.
Mhm.
Obviously, I don't want to do anything here. All right, put a 7 out there. Oh, they did. Put another one. Come on, 7.
Why do you want a 7?
I don't know. I like to root for the other guy.
Come on, man, I'll shove.
Yeah. Well, that'll be...
Yeah.
Now you can see what he's doing with. All right, so obviously, maybe those 2 walks he gave us were just like the crappiest hands you could ever have,
Mhm.
But still, he's a 13-13, so. And here we are. Whatever we did, even if it was wrong, we're here now. This is obviously going to be a shove. We're going to win.
I think so too. These other stats are button raise first on the left and small blind raise first.
Okay.
I have no button raises.
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
I don't know.
Oh, here it is. All right, well, now they're just,
No ace.
Put an ace up there.
No.
Come on. You probably could do it. I mean, he's probably
Yeah.
folding enough that you could do it. If you don't want to, I'm not going to force you, but I pretty much start shoving like any 2 at like 6.5 blinds. I can't wait till it's over because then I can play applause or a boo, depending on what. Oh, I'm going to fold at 10-7. I just don't know how often this guy's shoving yet. If he was shoving any 2, I'd consider it because of the overlay in the pot, but then I would shove that, shoving everything. Nice. Did you ever play any of these heads up sit and goes?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Not a lot of them.
Yeah, we have like no content on DC about heads up sit and goes. Which is a shame.
Yeah.
Try to remedy that. I've played like a few, well, I want to say a few hundred, but I think I've played like almost 1,000 of them like over the last year. It's not many, but I sort of kind of know what's going on.
Back when I played on full tilt,
Uh-oh, here we go.
I had a pretty spade.
6, 3, 5, I don't know. I don't even know what hands would help us. 6 doesn't really help us. Well, that's a shame. That reminds me of like party poker back in the day. Anytime you would win any pot you won, like you would come up with this blinking congratulations and applause. They're like, yay! You just won like a raise and took down the blinds. It was like, yay!
I remember I played party poker for a little bit, but just like the play chips. I don't remember the
Yeah.
applause.
So anyway, that's another sweat session in the books, in the can, whatever they say in the movie biz. I don't know. But what have we learned? Nothing again.
Oh, we did good.
Well, you didn't win any money, really. You've lost. But whatever, man. You can't think about that. Play.
Well, how many did I play? Like 7? 8?
Something like that. And you got a first and a second and a third or something like that. But that's not good enough. It's not good enough, dude.
First and 2/3 and a second.
We're going to have to do sit and go grinder part 2. I mean, clearly.
I need a full tilt screen name. I need a good one like Revelo Blank or Apartment Dweller.
Oh, you're gonna
something.
Why, are you gonna try to sign up on there again?
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. I emailed them the other day and
Yeah.
might get back.
Yeah, hopefully they'll let you. I mean, listen, you obviously did not have any nefarious scheme in mind, so I don't know. Hopefully Maybe we can get DC to rally behind you. That's where we hold a lot of clout. All right, so that is episode 7, just another sweat session. You know, look, there were some hands. I don't know. You can't plan what hands are going to come up. And I hope there were enough tangents in there about my dog or about bicycling to keep you interested. And I also have a drum. Shh, I need a cymbal.
10 ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, one more. I don't know what. I have no plan for what we're going to do, so I got to really figure it out. So anyway, we'll see you all in 2 weeks. And I don't know. That's Velo. I'm vandweller. Thanks for watching.
See you guys.